You've heard me say many times that we generate the results in life that we think we deserve. If you are in a bad relationship, let's just assume this is a romantic relationship. Maybe you're married, maybe it's just somebody you're living with or dating or whatever, but it's not giving you what you want. And I'll bet you if I swung this mic around, you could spend the rest of this time telling me how flawed your partner is, how they don't get it, how they are not reasonable, how they are this or they are that. And you may be right. I don't know. Again, since they're not here and I can't influence them, I can only influence you. Then I'm telling you that my first goal here is to restore you to a position in this life, to being the kind of person in this life that commands quality in your relationship. The kind of person that inspires respect. The kind of person that does not settle for anything in a relationship other than what you really want and need from this relationship. If you are in a relationship that is marked by pain, confusion, emptiness, despair, distance, conflict, you've lost connection with the person, then I can tell you, you have sacrificed your personal power. You have lost your dignity and your self-esteem, because if your partner is everything that you're saying, they're mean, they're rude, they're ugly, they're cold, you're putting up with it. Why would you do that? Why would you let somebody treat you that way? Life law number 8, we teach people how to treat us. We teach people how to treat us. Don't tell me what a bitch your partner is. Don't tell me what a jerk your partner is. Tell me why that's okay with you. And you'll say, well, it's not okay with me. Well, based on results, it is. And we're going to talk about results before we finish today's conversation, because it's something I'm going to ask you to agree to devote yourself to. So what am I saying here? I'm saying whatever your relationship is, you either elicit, maintain, or allow that to go on in your relationship. You do teach people how to treat you. You do reward certain things from other people because they wouldn't do it if you didn't. They're getting a payoff from it. Maybe it's a sick payoff. Maybe they love to see you in pain. I don't know. But when you lose your personal power, when you give it away to somebody else, when you sacrifice your dignity and self-esteem such that you're willing to accept what you don't want, then what you've done is learn to accommodate to pain and disappointment. And if you're letting your partner abuse you, if you're letting them abuse you by a number of things, maybe it's actually physical abuse, maybe it's mental or emotional. Let me tell you, abuse is not what most people think. Most people think abuse is when somebody hits you in the head, comes up and slaps your face, or throws you up against the wall, or chokes you, or whatever. Is that abuse? Absolutely, that's abuse. So it's not much of a stretch to realize if they yell and scream at you and call you names and demean you, then you can understand how that's abuse as well, right? That's verbal and emotional abuse. But sometimes people miss some forms of abuse. For example, withholding emotions, withholding affection, creating distance and keeping you isolated in an emotionally barren relationship. That too is abusive. Being over-controlling, where they take away your self-expression, where they cause you to sacrifice being all of who you are in order to be half of a relationship. That is abusive. Some relationships are so controlling that they make the person get all of their friends approved. They listen in to their phone calls. They choose what they wear. They choose who they speak to. They take the car keys when they leave that morning, so whoever the person is that stays at home can't go anywhere. Or they keep the money so tightly controlled that they don't have $5 to put gas in the car to go see their mother. Being over controlling can be abusive. So ask yourself, are you with a partner that's dealing misery to you? Are you with a partner that somehow is creating you constant tension? If you are, can you criticize your partner for it? I suppose you could, but my question is not what's wrong with them. My question is what's wrong with you? Why would you allow that? Well, I'm the one that's supposed to have the answers. So let me answer that question for you. Why would you allow that? Well, you might allow it because it's the devil you know. You're in a relationship and at least you're not alone. And it's scary out there, right? If this person is that way, they may be telling you nobody else would want you. And maybe they've got that bug in your ear and you're believing that. Maybe you've told yourself, I stood before God and made a covenant. For better or worse, we're just doing the worst right now. I made my mistake when I stood before God and made this covenant, so I'm trapped. I'm not going to quit on God, so I'm going to stay here and let this person abuse me. You need to read the rest of your Bible, if that's what you're telling yourself. But here's why you're doing it. You're doing it because you have lost touch with your core consciousness. You've lost touch with what I call your core consciousness, and that is that place within you where you are in touch with your greatest strengths, your instincts, your values, your talents, your wisdom. It's where all of those things are found. It's that place where you have an inner clarity and an unshakable confidence. And those characteristics alone determine a quality life. Now think about what I just said. Your core consciousness is what you know about yourself, about your strengths. You know what your qualities are. You know why you're a decent human being. You know what your instincts are. You know the difference between right and wrong. Your values are clear. Your talents are well known. You have wisdom that you've learned in your life. And I'm not talking about book learning. I don't care if you've got a PhD, an MD, a BA, or just graduated from the School of Hard Knocks. You have wisdom. When you are in touch with this core consciousness, there is an inner clarity and that unshakable confidence. You know what is right. I believe people know the truth when they hear it, including from themselves. You know when you're being your own best friend, and you know when you're not. And the most important relationship you will ever have is the relationship you have with yourself. You know, I said the subtitle to this series, Relationship Reality Check, was How Much Fun Are You to Live With? You could ask that from your partner's point of view. You also need to ask it from your point of view. How much fun are you to live with just from your point of view? See, I think every one of us is a life manager. We have a client list of one. You're a life manager just as I am. I'm a life manager and my client is Phil. I got one client and that's Phil. So how am I doing? I have to ask myself, how am I doing? Am I managing myself into a nice life? And that's more than money. Do I enjoy my days? Are they tension-filled and anxiety-laced? Or is there joy in my life? Is there excitement and passion in my life? Have I managed myself into a life that is full of joy, excitement, passion, purpose? Or have I managed myself into misery? Have I managed myself into bleakness? Where it's like, oh God, I got to get up and do this again. Holy God. Oh, I got to listen to this again. I got to go to this job again. I got to put up with this health again. I'm out of shape. I'm this, I'm that. If I've managed myself into a miserable lifestyle, if I had a life manager that did that, if they managed me into misery, I would want to fire them, right? but you can't fire yourself. So that means you got to jack yourself up and be a better life manager, including what you're settling for. When you're in touch with your core consciousness, you don't settle. And I want you to be honest with yourself, because I'm going to be honest with you. The truth is not always easy to hear, but it is always the truth. You may not want to hear it. You may not like hearing it. It may be difficult, but the truth is always the truth. And as my partner Robin says, there are not versions of the truth. There's just the truth. What I'm asking you to do first is scrape away all of life's layers of distortion, all the negative messages that you've been accumulating, all of the messages of doubt that you've been accumulating. No matter what else you may have learned, if you continue to settle, if you continue to sell out, if you continue to self-sabotage, then you will continue to create the results that you think you deserve. And if what you're experiencing in your relationships, either with yourself or with other people, is pain and guilt and confusion and anger, then you are not in touch with that core consciousness, that place where you know who you are. You're not in touch with that power, that depth of conviction, where you have the strength to inspire others, to create and relate, and realize that's what you do. You create and relate. This happens at a very high level. And look, no matter what else happens in this relationship reality check, if I fix no relationship in your life except the one that you have with yourself, then I hit a home run. Because that will change every relationship that you have if I change the one that you have with yourself by getting you back in touch with that core consciousness.